The Imperials and Altmer have long stood as rivals, as each respective home province has been home to numerous great empires, from all three Altmeri dominions to all three Cyrodiilic-based empires. But why do they hate each other? What is it that fuels their rivalry? The first is obvious. They currently stand as Tamriel's superpowers, each vying and fighting for more power and influence within all of Tamriel. But this whole video is to dive deeper into it. What is it that really defines each of these peoples, and what is it that makes them be at odds with one another? So this video is meant to start a series where we essentially dive deep into cultures of Tamriel and dissect them for what they are and see why they may work together well with other respective nations and peoples, or they differ and hate each other. Now, the Altmer and Imperials have had a long history of hatred, and their cultures nearly are polar opposites to one another. And with this, combined with time, has allowed these two peoples to create, maintain, and consistently bolster their hatred with one another. Imperials, for example, their hatred stems all the way back to the Merethic era, where both the Iliads and the Altmer had enslaved the pre-Imperial peoples of the Cyronords and the Needs, and then the Nibonese peoples. But with St. Alicia's rebellion in 242 of the First Era, the Imperials united and drove out the Altmer and pushed the Iliads towards extinction. So, how this video is essentially going to work is that I'm going to dive deep into the Imperial culture, and then I'm going to go into the Altmer culture. And then you're going to see a kind of compare and contrasting sort of nature between the two, and then find out what really defines and deviates these two from one another. And it's probably quite obvious at this point of the video, but we'll get there when we get there. So, Imperials define their culture as cosmopolitan or metropolitan, and they are very skilled and shrewd merchants and are charismatic diplomats. Typically, with how politically and geographically separated Cyrodiil is with other provinces, the Imperials had to work hard at building bridges, hence how they were able to nearly conquer Tamriel under the Remans and did conquer Tamriel under the Septums. This meant in order to maintain these empires, a series of political networks had to be established with native allies, as well as trade revenue to help incentivize these relationships with one another. This is seen with the Septim alliance with the Forebears in Hammerfell, House Halalu and the Tribunal in Morrowind, and the Jarls of West Skyrim. This shouldn't undersell their talent for war, though. Imperials are disciplined, hardened, and lawful, and with all these traits combined, they were given Tamriel. This has also led for people to believe the Imperials as arrogant, which is probably true for some, but it doesn't necessarily represent the entire race or culture as a whole. The Altmer, on the other hand, represent the polar opposite, already in beginning of it. Whereas the Imperials have a rather humble origins of being enslaved and having to rise up, the Altmer have a claim to godhood. Having been one of the first advanced races, if not the first, they subjugated and enslaved what was deemed lesser races. As they settled in, they developed a societal hierarchy off of stratification, and this already began to separate the elite from the normal average Altmer. They're stubborn, and rather reform and change with the times, large minority groups would leave and settle elsewhere. But with most of Tamriel rather uninhabited now, that has become rather difficult, leading to a new wave of reform led by the youth. The isolation of the Isles of Somerset ingrained an opinion of superiority as well. Even when eventually allying with Valenwood and Ellisware, the High Elves were the dominant race, with Bosmer II and Khajiit III. While conquered in 896 of the Second Era by the Empire, despite Imperial efforts to include and merge Altmer culture with them, the Altmer remained firmly different, viewing their defeat with horror and shame. Even when forced to ask for Imperial aid in 110 of the Third Era during the War of the Isle, the Altmer did so with reluctance and shame. Already we see differences, whereas the Imperials united and the Altmer were stratified. The Imperials traded and conquered, where the Altmer remained stubborn and isolationist. While the Imperials included its allies into the fold, the Altmer separated them. While the Imperials had humble origins, the Altmer have a claim to godhood. These defiant cultures have clashed during the Elysian Uprising, the Riemann Conquest, the Alliance War, the Tiber Wars, and the Great War, only further dividing them. But what has separated them the most? And that answer is obviously religion. The Imperials worshipped the 9 divines of Akatosh, Arkay, Dibella, Julianos, Kinnereth, Mara, Stendarr, Zenithar, and now Talos. The Altmer pantheon, on the other hand, consists of Ariel, which is Akatosh, Trinimac, Ciribane, Finaster, Magnus, and Y'ffre. And while these are the most popular gods, the Altmer still include and worship similar Aedra, such as Stendarr, Mara, and Xarxes, which is Arkay. So of the 9 divines, the Altmer recognize 4 of them. But what is the major difference here? And that is Talos. Talos, aka Tiber Septim, was hailed by the Nords and Imperials as a god. The Altmer took this as an insult. Their superiority complex, mixed with the apparent godhood origins, took this as the arrogance of men going beyond their place. Yet the Altmer have also raised their own as gods, with both Finaster and Ciribane, which in a way is kind of ironic. With the ascension of Talos, the stubborn, defiant Altmer saw this as a direct challenge to their livelihood, hence one of the biggest traits of the newest rendition of the Altmeri Dominion, have fought to end the worship of Talos, and even fought a war to stop it. Well, partly, I guess I should say partially started the war. While the Imperials have openly accepted this, the Nords have not. However, the Empire doesn't enforce the outlaw of Talos under the White Gold Concordat. This has led to Thalmor agents stationed in Skyrim. Many Nords see this as a weakness, but the legionary leaders like General Tullius have recognized that another war is on the horizon. Thus, the Imperial-Altmer rivalry will continue to probably increase. While these cultures continue to clash, many Imperials know that all empires are to rise and fall, as seen with the First and Second Empires. While Imperial rule has declined significantly in the Fourth Era, there is a new dynasty of Colovian lords at the seat of the Ruby Throne. The Third Empire may collapse, but it doesn't mean necessarily the end of a Cyrodiilic-based empire, but the rise of a potential new one. The Third Altmeri Dominion, on the other hand, is facing its own internal crisis. The strict control of the Thalmor has created many enemies, and combined with a growing reformist youth, it may be that a new wave of Altmer culture, where tolerance and acceptance is pushed in. How long this takes or when is a mystery, but perhaps with a coming of another war, opportunities yet await. That is all we have today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, the beginning of a new series. I really appreciated, or I guess I really enjoyed going into a new series where I was able to kind of analyze and go into each culture, especially one as, I guess, opposite as the Altmer and Imperials. These two peoples are incredible, and I'm not saying one is right or wrong or better than the other. That is not for me to decide, but doing so has actually allowed me to open doors into things I wouldn't necessarily have come across, and future topics that I'm going to cover in the future as well. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. If you like this kind of stuff, give me a like down below. It really lets me know you enjoy these series. And as always, if you want more like this, please subscribe. I post 4 times a week now. I don't know, it gets confusing. But with that, I also want to make a really quick announcement. I have hit 1,000 subs, so expect expect a face reveal relatively soon. It's once I know for sure that I'm at 1,000, because I'm kind of fluctuating. I know last night I was at 998, and now today I'm at 1,001, so I'm kind of fluctuating a little bit. Once I get past that little hump, and I'm at probably 1,010, I'll probably drop the video there. I also have to record the video, that being said. But I have a few ideas of what I want to do, so with that, I will hope to see you in the next video, and I hope to see you in the Discord chat. The link is in the description below, and I hope to see you there. Peace. If you enjoyed, please like this video because it really lets me know you're enjoying this content. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The links are right here for you to click on, and the Discord chat link is right here as well. And overall, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.